A young couple and their 4-year-old son have gone camping in the ex-Soviet Georgia mountains. The weekend promises to be one of fun and adventure for the small family. They had been living in the country for over 6 years and knew its residents to be kind, friendly people. But on this trip, they learned that not everyone can be trusted, as their adventures take a terrifying turn just one day in. Welcome back to Crime A to Z, where we detail cases and criminals from their very beginning until well after other reporting ends. Today, we'll be talking about a mind-bogglingly senseless case. It's about a family that spent their lives helping and giving back to others. A family that was most certainly not deserving of the heinousness they faced when they encountered someone with a heart darker than night. And before we start, please don't forget that if you like how we present this case, please let us know by hitting like and subscribe. Let's go. Ryan Smith grew up in a suburban community in northeastern San Diego, California. Being raised in a Protestant Christian household, his childhood was happy as he lived a faithful life in line with his beliefs of following God and helping others. When Ryan was in his 20s, he ventured abroad and developed a passion for travel and a love for people of other cultures. It was that passion that sent him to Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan, in 2002. There he began learning the Azeri language and culture. He worked in the rug industry and had aspirations of starting a rug weaving business. He lived there for 3 years, then at the end of 2005, he returned to the US where he met Laura Joy. Laura was a school teacher in Washington State, and both she and Ryan shared the same giving spirit and passion to serve. They fell in love and married. After a few years of marriage, the couple decided that they wanted to serve abroad as missionaries. So in 2010, they made the leap and moved to Marneuli, a town in the southern region of ex-Soviet Georgia, not far from the border of Azerbaijan, where Ryan had previously lived. Once there, it didn't take long for the couple to realize how they could best serve the people in the region. Laura began working as a teacher, teaching English in the city's public school. And Ryan, having studied and appreciated the ancient art of making handcrafted rugs when he previously lived in Baku, set his sights on finding local weavers who were able and willing to work on such pieces, even if they were not familiar with the traditional classic designs. He made several visits to multiple villages trying to find rug weavers interested in his project. He recalled how it began during a local radio station interview.
And I began to hear the names of villages in that region, and these are all famous rug designs. So I began to investigate the possibility of doing a rug weaving project. But I saw very quickly that there were very few weavers left. So I had the hope of trying to revive or revitalize this craft.
He named the business Rewoven. And eventually, the community development project took off, revitalizing the region's ancient rug weaving culture, as well as providing previously non-existent opportunities and sustainable incomes for its rural women. While they were developing the business, Ryan and Laura became dual citizens of the US and Georgia. They planned to live in Georgia for years to come. So, not surprisingly, the couple was eager to establish a family there. They longed to have children and set out to do so, but their first few attempts were met with heartache. They endured unimaginable suffering from the loss of their first child, Shannon, in 2012, at just 9 days old. Then, they would go on to tragically lose 3 more babies due to miscarriage after that. And then, in 2014, they welcomed Caleb, a healthy baby who would grow to a smart, loving, passionate young boy and the apple of his parents' and grandparents' eyes. By everyone's accounts, the Smiths were respected and appreciated members of their community that the residents accepted as their own. With the success of Rewoven, the couple was able to make donations and support their community. They were in the midst of planning to create a children's playground in Marneuli using their own funds, when the unthinkable happened. The family of 3 set out midweek on a camping trip to Kata Gorge, a tiny hidden gorge below the mountains of Vudori. The plan was to explore the area, especially its breathtaking waterfall. Once they arrived in Kata Gorge, they set up camp near a village called Skir before setting out for the waterfall. By Friday, no one had heard from the family. They were due back in town that day, so their friends became concerned and tried to reach them. But they were not answering their mobile phones. So the friends called 112, Georgia's emergency response center, to report that the family may be missing. Authorities immediately sent 15 rescuers to search for the family. It didn't take them long to locate the family's campsite, car, and ultimately, the body of Laura Smith, which was laying near the waterfall. There did not appear to be any visible signs of violence against the 43-year-old mother. They continued searching for the rest of the missing family and would discover 44-year-old Ryan's body the next day, Saturday. It was about 800 meters or a half mile from the waterfall. Ryan's body, unlike Laura's, did show significant signs of trauma and violence, so much so that the gunshot wounds he'd sustained would not be detected until an autopsy was performed. They could not find any traces of Caleb. With the search continuing, a local shepherd came under the police's radar the following day. His name was Malkas Kobori. Kobori was 19 years old and came from a poor family that had 6 children. He had not attended school since 8th grade. The father of the family had a criminal record, and he was not residing with the family at the time. Police confronted the young shepherd about the murders, and Kobori offered a full confession. To support his confession, he led police the following day to the location where he had buried Caleb's body, along with a gun that he used to shoot both Ryan and Caleb. He detailed for police how everything transpired. He claimed that after the young family had set up camp, they set out to find the picturesque waterfall. Along the way, they encountered Kobori and asked him if he could direct them to the waterfall. Kobori obliged. At some point on the journey, the group stopped for a dinner break. While breaking, Ryan became uncomfortable that Kobori was not handling his hunting rifle cautiously and asked him to be careful with the weapon, especially since there was a child present. Kobori responded by becoming irritated. Then, he shot Ryan in the back and face, killing him. According to Kobori, once that happened, he needed to kill the other 2 family members to hide his crime. So he then turned the weapon on their son, shooting him at point-blank range. Based on Kobori's statements early on in the investigation, it was believed that Laura then attempted to flee and fell off the cliff in the process, dying. Later in the investigation, however, it was reported that Kobori forced her off the cliff at gunpoint. He buried the son's body and threw the remaining bullets into the river. But Kobori's account would soon come under scrutiny. The FBI began working with Georgian investigators to let the evidence start speaking for itself. Once the results of the autopsy, DNA testing, and other forensic results were available, it became clear that there was more to the encounter than Kobori revealed. The official autopsy results concluded that Kobori's genetic profile was found in Laura Smith's body. Laura Smith had been raped prior to her death. With that finding, within hours, Kobori's legal counsel actually quit the case. They stated, "I refuse to continue to participate in the case. I wish success to those who will defend Kobori's interests." Kobori obtained a new lawyer willing to defend him. While the new forensic findings caused Kobori to lose a lawyer, they also resulted in him gaining a new charge. Prosecutors tacked on the new charge of premeditated murder. He pleaded not guilty. His new lawyer claimed his client's innocence in court. Kobori had since retracted his original confession and subsequently claimed that 2 foreigners had killed the family, then threatened to kill his family if he reported them. The lawyers argued that Kobori was not a criminal, but a witness, and that he only confessed originally in order to save his own family from the 2 murderous foreigners. To address the rape claim, the defense insisted that Kobori could not have committed the rape because he was a virgin and incapable of the act. The prosecution wasn't having it. They presented not only the indisputable forensic evidence, which included Kobori's DNA, but also evidence that he'd been visiting pornographic websites just prior to the incident, demonstrating his interest. They outlined a storyline that conflicted with Kobori's, but was consistent with the evidence, including that there may indeed have been a dispute regarding the weapon between Ryan and Kobori, but that Kobori's true motive was to rape the young wife, no matter the consequences. And that's what he set out to do. He began by disposing of the first obstacle in his way, Ryan. Laura was forced to watch as he shot and killed her loving husband, and then their sweet, innocent son, Caleb. With him out of the way, he then raped Laura, then killed her, dumping her body over the cliff when he was done. The trial concluded on March 25, 2019 at the Gore City Court. The jury took just 4 hours to deliberate and return their verdict. They unanimously found Malkaz Kobori guilty of rape, premeditated murder with extreme violence, premeditated murder of more than 2 people, and premeditated murder with the goal of covering up another crime. 2 days later, he was sentenced to life in prison. Friends and family of the victims received the verdict and the sentence they were hoping for. Kobori's family members, however, were devastated, to the point of needing medical attention. They claimed that the verdict and the sentence were unfair. However, the U.S. consul to Georgia stated that the verdict and sentence were indeed fair, and that the evidence left no room for doubt.
There is no room for doubt in this case. The families of Laura, the families of Ryan, and the families of Caleb all expressed their preference for a life sentence in this case, and we believe it was a fair and just trial and a fair and just sentence.
Ryan, Laura, Caleb, and their late daughter, baby Shannon, were all laid to rest in Laura's hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. Family and friends honored the giving and loving family and celebrated their lives, sharing memories, stories, and photos of them and the many people they touched. Rewoven rugs were laid over their coffins, sending with them a piece of their passion. Local and international friends, media organizations, and the public brought flowers, candles, and toys to the Smith family home to express their condolences. After the conviction, Ryan's mother, Evangeline Smith, wrote a heartfelt letter to Kobori to be delivered to him in prison. It was published in Georgia Today, an English-language newspaper published in Georgia. The letter outlined her and her family's pain and grief, her disappointment and Kobori's lack of remorse for his despicable acts, how each of their lives was a reflection of love and kindness, and the loss that he caused by taking those precious lives from them. Then she shared her prayers for him and forgave him. The loss of Rewoven's founder left not only a community in deep sadness, but a lot of uncertainty as well. Ryan and Rewoven provided much-needed job opportunities that provided the women of the village income and stability, allowing them to care for their children. But amidst their grief, there was one thing that everyone was certain of. And that was that Ryan and the Smith family would most certainly have wanted Rewoven to live on and continue to thrive, just as it had when their passionate founder was alive. The company grew in size and production, enjoying increased sales and numerous successful exhibitions. Exploration of their website reveals an array of colorful, authentic masterpieces. We hope this video did justice to the sweet Smith family. While we were obviously shaken by the heinousness of the senseless and selfish murders, we couldn't help but notice how swift the justice was in Georgia. From it taking 1 day for an arrest, 8 months for an investigation and conviction, and 2 days for sentencing, justice was swift, at least as compared to most of the cases we cover. What are your thoughts about this family, this murderer, this case? We look forward to hearing them in the comments below. And if you like how we presented this case, please hit like for us, and definitely hit subscribe so you never miss any of our videos.